Hello, this is Encounters with Life. I'm Sean Abigail, your host. Today I want to talk to you about an important topic, and that is why I love Canada. In this time of tariffs, of transborder TIF, and so on, I want to talk about why I love Canada. And too often Canadians talk about Canada in terms of not being American. I love this about Canada, that it's not American. And I think we really need to talk about what is definitively Canadian, what we enjoy about Canada, what we appreciate about Canada, what we love about Canada. So the first thing I love about Canada is our common history. Together, our French and English populations have built a nation, a strong nation, a capable nation, a confident nation, a nation which is in many ways unique. And for hundreds of years now, we have had a common history as Canadians. That common history has included such acts as burning the White House, but also being in World War I, World War II, Korean War, Afghanistan War. We have done our part in many of these conflicts. So there is a common history. The second thing that I've alluded to is that we have English and French together. Now, maybe this is not a source of strength for us, maybe this is a source of weakness, but it is a source of pride for many of us, that together, the English and French peoples of this country have built a nation. Another thing that is something that I think I love about Canada is that we are part of the British Commonwealth. It is a collection of countries which have a common history through England, through Britain, and together we have extra contacts, we have extra relationships, and so on. And I love that about Canada, that it is part of the British Commonwealth. And also, if you look at Canadian passports, at the back of the Canadian passport, it says if you're having a problem, go to a Canadian consulate, or if it's not available, go to a British or Australian consulate. I love that about carrying my Canadian passport. As Canadians, we have friends. Our American neighbors seem determined to burn through all of their friendships as quick as they can, but Canada has friends around the world. Another thing I love about Canada, we're legendary for this, is our politeness. Just easy to get along with people, and we like that about each other. It's one of the most quintessential Canadian moments is elevator door opens, people are like, you first, no, you first, you first, no, you first, and then the door closes while we're each trying to be out politing each other. Well, it's a little bit of a funny thing, I know, but I love that about Canada. I also love that we are a country built on humility rather than arrogance. We're not always trying to show off who we are. We're not always trying to show that we're the best. Humility is actually a virtue. And right now, again, maybe it's just the moment with these tariffs coming in, but our American neighbors have become really unpleasant, many of them. You know what? I know lots of Americans, great people, wonderful people, nice people. I love my American neighbors. But so many Americans right now are just like, USA, USA, yeah, tax them, Trump, put in more tariffs, yeah. And personally, I think that humility is a virtue. Another thing I love about Canada is our identity as a northern people. Yes, it gets cold in the wintertime, but it's something we take kind of a pleasure in, that we're tough enough to survive Canadian winters. And, okay, it's true, we're clustered along the U.S. border. There's a lot in northern Canada of land, not too many people, but we do take pride in being a northern people. Another thing that I take pride in, that I love about Canada, is that we are a constitutional monarchy. Okay, not every Canadian agrees with me, but hear me out. Canada is a constitutional monarchy, and our loyalty is not to the Prime Minister of Canada, but it is to the Crown. And in the United States, a president can say, loyalty to the president is loyalty to the country. And you can make a case for that. And every time American presidents do something like that, it goes south on them. But in Canada, a prime minister would be laughed off the stage if he ever said loyalty to the prime minister is loyalty to Canada. It's loyalty to the crown. And that's something that John Diefenbaker pointed out in his book, Those Things We Treasure. And I read that as a young man, and it made good sense to me. So in the debates over whether Canada should be a constitutional monarchy or not, that one point was always definitive for me. And that's something I love about Canada. I also love our sensible gun laws. And I know I have friends who feel we should have less gun laws. I have friends who feel we should have more gun laws. But we have sensible gun laws. And I was raised with guns. I was raised knowing how to fire a rifle as a young man. When I turned 16, I got my firearms permission certificate and acquisition certificate, FAC. And yeah, I know how to handle a gun. And you know what? I like handling guns. I like them. But also, here in Canada, we are not overrun with handguns. I would prefer to live in a country that doesn't have handguns available, and you don't need a handgun to protect yourself, rather than a country that is overrun with handguns and you've got the constitutional right to them, but by golly, you need to have a gun to protect yourself. That's just the way I am, I guess, but that's one of the things that I love about Canada. Another thing that I love about Canada is that we are a parliamentary democracy rather than a country that has a separate executive branch of government. So in the United States, there are three branches of government, of course. There's the executive with the president. There is the, I'm forgetting the expression for it, but there is the Congress, and then there is the judicial branch of government. In Canada, you don't have a situation where the Congress and the president are butting heads all the time, because the prime minister is the head of the party that typically has the most seats in parliament. And so you have much greater efficiency. I understand Americans have their system the way they do because of checks and balances. But when you watch people playing chicken over budget and constantly running up the budget, running up the deficit, I just don't think so. Finally, last thing I love about Canada. This is a little controversial. There are stresses and strains, I know, but I do love our healthcare system. Okay, there's problems with accessibility. I think Canada needs to have a really serious, mature discussion about how to finance our healthcare system. I don't think that we can continue to spend more and more all the time, but Canadians love our healthcare system. And I remember as a child, my father explained to me how when he was growing up, if you got sick, it could wipe you out financially. You could be fairly well off and end up getting wiped out financially, and that doesn't happen in Canada. When I talk to Americans, they universally hate their health insurance. And Canadians end up spending less per capita on healthcare, and that includes government spending, spend less per capita on healthcare than Americans. And when I get sick, I don't have to worry that I'm going to get financially wiped out. So when Americans are talking about Canada becoming the 51st state, Canadians are never going to give up their healthcare. And let's face it, Americans are never going to adopt Canadian healthcare. And so I don't think we're ever going to become the 51st state. We're not giving up healthcare, folks. So those are some of the things that I love about Canada. Can I ask you a favor? If you watch some of my videos, you know what's coming. Can you consider subscribing to this video or subscribing to my channel? It's a small channel. It's still getting started. And the statistics tell me that 92% of the people watching my videos have not subscribed. If you could subscribe, it would mean everything to me. Thank you very much. I'm Sean Abigail. That's Encounters with Life.